Lovely to be here, everybody, and I go for quality, not quantity, in everything I do in life, and I'd like to extend that to all the people who turned up tonight in the pouring rain, the dark nights are creeping in. Very interesting about how long I've been in this work. I forget myself sometimes how long. And I was lecturing in America, and after lecture, a young lady chased me down the corridor with a book in her hand, and it was my book, my biography. And she said, would you mind, Dr. Oldfield, signing this, and would you mind putting my mother's name on there? Okay, and I did this. She said, I've got to ask you a question from my mother. I said, okay, dear. She said, are you Harry Oldfield Senior or Harry Oldfield Junior? They have this kind of thing in America, you know. And I said, well, I'm the only Harry Oldfield I know about this. And she said, oh, thank God for that. Because my mother said that if I was going to see you tonight, that Harry Oldfield Senior must be dead by now, because he's been in the work so long. So 37, nearly 40 years. Yes, ladies, I did start when I was a little boy. Yes, I just want to put that one in. You know, if you believe that, you believe anything. But let's start. Is it possible to have these front two lights dimmed? Because some of the effects I'm going to show you are very subtle. I don't want to plunge you in darkness, everybody. It's the opposite. I want to plunge you into the light tonight. Because what I want to do is open up to you not the possibility, but the reality of an invisible universe that you occupy, I occupy, and it is all around us, except only people with special senses can perceive it. Now, what I've managed to do over the years, since the time of early 1970s with Corellian photography, I was fascinated with something called the phantom leaf effect, but it's all in here. So we start off, please, David, with the next one. Now, here I am with David's mum, Evie, my partner, and we thought we'd show off a couple of our chakras and our souls in our true colours to you. And without her, I would no longer be in this research work. I think I would have retired long before this. But she's given me the strength and the energy, as you can see around us. She's got a fantastic heart chakra there, always beams through anything where we are. One of my books, Dark Side of the Brain, still now available. You can download it from Tidley, Amazon, and also Kindle.
You can get it from Kindle.
Yeah, you can download it now from that place, yeah, Kindle. And so you can have a good night read if you get more interested in it. That's my early work with kerning photography as well, which I established as a medical research tool, which was later then not taken up, unfortunately. Here's my biography, Harry Oldfield's Invisible Universe. And various articles that appeared in various science and public journals over many years now. Right, it's very interesting because started off tonight with a very practical test experiment. Now this is me looking at my kind of coloured energy field in the mirror almost every morning just to check myself. And tonight, while we were testing our camera, young Elliot there in the second row, volunteered his good self, and Elliot was surrounded with some rather special energy tonight. He'll confirm it, but I took the picture. But as simultaneously as I was taking the picture, you were telling me, Elliot, you had your eyes closed when you got them open there because you wanted to see the colours, but you actually perceived that there were certain colours going through your head.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And simultaneously I caught it. So that is a live experiment I have tonight. You're going to be seeing a lot of these special pictures in my presentation, as well as other technologies we've invented. The thing is about this technology is it's portable. You put it in front of a mobile phone or portable camera, and you've got your laboratory literally in your pocket. And you can walk around and take pictures of people, environment, sensitive areas, sensitive people. And you can pick up an awful lot. With the colours here, I can tell you now that Elliot is very switched on and sensitive and perceives things, cuts through the chase, and interdimensional work probably goes on in your life, and healing maybe. Am I right, Elliot, or wrong? I'm correct. Good, good. Usually am. That's why I'm in the Middle East next month, because they want me and they want to hear all this. Okay, now there's my wife Evie, and there we are with David's first child, Kimberly. And I was watching these two playing on the floor. How old is she now? She's 8 now.
8, yeah.
Already, God, time flies. Makes me feel old, David.
Me too.
He's got 4 now. Four beautiful girls. And here, I thought, this is a great picture. I took a normal pic, but then I thought I'd stick the filter through, see what energy is bubbling between them, you know, between the grandmother and grandchild. And there was literally a rainbow bridge. Didn't you mention Rainbow Bridge tonight to me? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? And that's no coincidence, because I think you perceived that I was going to, maybe show a rainbow bridge tonight on your higher dimensional levels, understand it? Which, actually, we're in illusion here of time and space and time, okay? Because time doesn't exist. That's a sweeping statement, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? And I'll tell you why. Because without events, conscious events here, and all around me, and universal events, and even quantum physical events, there's no time. It's the events that make the time. I want you to think about that. Now here, I have a young lady who lives in America. She's from Indonesia, and she's a certain very gifted psychic, and works interdimensionally as well there, Elliot. And she was pictured here with swirling energy between her hands. She was building up energy for healing. Do I have that laser pointer at all in the... No, okay. No, okay. You're going to have to put up with my hand and finger. I'm sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, there's swirling energy there that she's building up between her hands, and a friend's got one of our filters and is then simultaneously taking a picture of this happening. Then she thought she'd call somebody or people through on the other side, and I just put it that way. And she was sitting, I think, thinking and meditating, and in the next shot, I want you to look very carefully. Can you see what came through? All right? Oh, by the way, good moment to mention, these filters are available during the break for you to buy and take away with you if you want to carry on your own experiments like this. All that was a mobile phone, camera, filter. That's it. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that because I want a lot of money. Okay, that's not my purpose while I am here. It is because I want you out there as my expanded laboratory assistants. Do you understand? I'm not the Almighty, I'm not omnipresent. I can only be in one place at one time. I wish I had a twin brother or something. I could double up for me, but I can't. So, but my technology and the backup that goes with it, that is 37 years of experience. Now, you know, a few more years I can add him on in the future, extend that maybe well over 100 years in the future. Yeah.
Good.
It looks good enough for another 70 years, I hope.
You've got 4 lab assistants there,
Yeah,
haven't you? Little girls.
That's true. But I tell you what, knowing what I have to spend on them now, they're too expensive. They want too much money, those that have grandchildren out there. Anyway, okay, and thank you for the next shot, David. And again, you can be, now people say, Harry, where should I go hunting with your filter if I want to catch something paranormal? Well, my advice, not graveyards, although we have called phenomena graveyards, you'll be seeing them later. It's where there are people, you know, gregarious places like here, outside nightclubs, as this was in the Philippines. And if you look very carefully, there's a third entity in the picture that was holding on to the young woman there. Now, what my filters do, ladies and gentlemen, they bend light. They split light up into its components, almost like rainbow prisms, but on a multiple level. And while it splits up light, it also brings in and pulls in, I believe, photons from other dimensions that are all around us. It's just that they're at different frequencies, and we can't perceive them. Okay, our eyes only working on a very narrow level of spectrum of seeing things, okay? If we could see X-rays, if we could see UV and infrared, we'd be all blind with white light all around us. We'd shut our eyelids and we'd still see the light. So, quite rightly, the Almighty has given us special gifts of vision. Very, very narrow, focused spectrum of visible light, that's all we can perceive. However, when, going back to our ancient hunter-gatherer days, there were special people of vision, there still are in, shall we say, the Australian outback and in Africa and places, India, who were designated by the tribe, the family, social network, to focus their abilities outside the visible spectrum. And this is where we've got our clever men and clever women, you know, in these societies. Unfortunately, the church in the Middle Ages burned most of them. But a lot of their genes have carried through. Idiot. Okay, now we can see here, very famous monument, the Glastonbury Tor. Glastonbury is a very special, holy energy place, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what you see with your eyes, but that is then, with our filter, you'll start to see a swirling energy field. Now later, you will see video of these swirling energies, but they have been done with other types of filters and computer software that we have developed, okay? And it sees in a deeper way in some respects. Next. Now here we have my Evie, and I'm taking her a picture here, okay? But the Tor is just up there, everybody, okay? And I'm thinking of the Tor, she's thinking of the Tor. We've just seen the energy with the filter in front of the camera. And as I said, well, I'm going to take now a picture of you with the filter. And the next picture, the Tor came down to say hello. There it is, right next to Evie. So I thought, you know, thinking of actually trying to establish her as a special monument, but she's not having it, David. Okay, right. She'll never forgive me for that joke, especially if it's on YouTube. Edit, yes. Thank you, Edit. Same one. Right, New Energy Vision, NEV, stands for developed system from Pitt, which for the, shall we say, the historically minded, is called Polycontrast interference photography. Okay, poly meaning many, contrasting, obviously one thing to another, and it's interference is where the interference happens of photons between energy fields and dimensions. Okay, when I look at any of you, okay, I don't actually see you at all. Can't see you at all. I'm only seeing the light that's reflecting off you on the incident ray, which is then the reflected ray that's coming into my eye, being focused on the back of my retina. That's going down the optic nerve, then converted to bioelectronic signals, which is then making an image at the back of my head in the occipital cortex. That's how all of us see. And then in mammalian animal, including some invertebrates like octopus and squid, they actually have better eyesight than we do. So next time you're eating your pater calamari, remember, the animal there had better eyesight than, well, definitely what I've got now. Anyway, here we have more Glastonbury images. And it's done with the polycontrast interference photography this time. And it sees energies with more contrast, hence the term. Now, this is a clear sky, ladies and gentlemen, and what you're perceiving here is a vortex of invisible energy that the Tor is attracting to itself, attracting to the Earth. It's a very special place. When people go there, they feel energized. Some people, it changes their lives. And the vortex was building up. That's a different view of it. And there we have another filter to show you how it's starting to swirl around like almost an invisible tornado. And I'm going to show you now the actual visibility of that invisible tornado and what it's doing. Changing in real time. A lot of white light there. Oh, can we just go back a little bit for that one, David, if possible? I know it's a very short clip. Just want people just to see that again, if possible. Lovely. Fantastic the way that just pulls it into the earth and just white light appears at the top of the Tor. I can't explain it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just a humble observer, as I call myself. If it's a quick one, yes.
Yeah, just when those images were taken. Can you tell me when those images were taken?
They were taken last year, 2011, I think.
Any idea of
maybe 2010. Something.
When you were in Glastonbury?
Yeah. It was my last lecture. It's actually on the internet.
Okay.
With the.
What would be the title of that?
It's Glastonbury Symposium. Thank you. Good job I got my boy here, isn't it? He's got the memory, I've got past talent. He's got talent too, as you'll see later. Anyway, there we've got pulsing over the Tor. Now, guess what? I've also been at Stonehenge. You know, an old monument, visiting an old monument. Very appropriate, I think. And taking with my foot. Now, would you say, ladies and gentlemen, that you'd think those are solid stones, solid rocks? Yeah? Well, also, in this invisible universe, what you think is solid is fooling you. It isn't always necessarily the case. When you look at me, all you're seeing is energy at unusual waveforms that appear solid. And the cohesion that keeps me together is my consciousness. Okay? It's your consciousness too. What you think makes you. That's a sweeping statement, maybe especially for young people out there. But believe you me, this is what I'm concluding. The older I get, the more I'm thinking this is correct. Right, you think these are solid stones. The Oldfield filter. Now, the place of Stonehenge is very special, both historically and contemporary, and I'll tell you why. When the Romans came to Britain And when they came to these ancient sites, they got scared. Julius Caesar was scared of the Druids. And if you don't believe me, read the writings of Tacitus, okay, who was one of his chronicles. And one of the reasons they were scared of the Druids was this, because Roman legionnaires had seen Druids walk through solid stone. Walk through solid stone. These stones are not really solid. I wouldn't bang your head against one to prove it, do you understand? Because you're made of the same material and the same frequency as the solid stone. What we're looking at here is something of their energy from here and past nows and future nows that are not always now in existence. Now here, so sent to me by a young lady researcher here, Kathy, and she took, there was a special evening going on here, a ceremony at the Standing Stones, some sort of group meditation. And that's a human figure, okay? But if you look very carefully, there's energy of the stones in the air above them, okay? But there are also another row of smaller stones, quite clearly seen. I'll just point them out to you. And these are where the old Welsh bluestones used to be inside the henge in the old days, and on the outside of the henge in the old days too. There were many more stones there than you see now. And people often ask, Harry, what do you think the place was for? Well, twofold. I believe it was a sun temple, as I'm going to show you now, connected with pyramid energy. I know that sounds strange for Stonehenge, but we actually saw a pyramid of energy in Stonehenge, which we photographed. And also, it was a place of healing. And it still is a place of healing. This was done with the same system called PIP, which we did over the tour, Glastonbury tour, where we saw the invisible tornado of energy. And there we have a cyclotron that goes over the top of the stones in a full circle. And here, oh, by the way, people say, oh, that must be the sun up there. It's not. The sunrise was coming from over here. Early morning, about 9 o'clock in the morning. You have to be there early because there's special time slots you have to book as scientists to get into Stonehenge, or as a philosopher or researcher. And I'd been asked the question, what kind of energy, is related to Stonehenge? And I'm there with the camera, and this is what I do. I act like I'm in the role of not a teacher, but a schoolboy, which is very easy for me to fall into that role, by the way. Ask my mother. And especially when she tells me off. And I suddenly said, well, show me, please, show me. And here, a pyramid of energy came down from above the stone circle and through the stones. We could see that actually happening more in a second. There we switched filters to look at energy of different wavelengths. And here we have energy penetrating straight through these solid stones. But of course, they're not solid at all. Nothing is in this universe. It's all held together by consciousness and thought, the whole universe. And here, between the stones, we had another one of those beautiful whirling vortices that came down. Localized little mini tornado of energy, between the standing megaliths. And here we have a different angle perception of that vortex that Stonehenge almost constantly, has every time I've been there, keeps going above itself. This is why people are drawn to it. Not just foreigners who are just sightseers or anything, but there's a part of people that perceives these invisible energies and are attracted to these places. And here we have the Stanton Drew stone. There are many stone circles. There's hundreds of them in the UK. And they're also associated with the stones are ley lines passed through them. These are energy, coherent lines of energy that pass through the earth. And Carol Pearce, one of my friends and researchers, she's another one of my laboratory assistants out there in the universe. Hope she won't mind me saying that. And here she picked up an actual ley line, okay, which she photographed going across the landscape. But then when it came through the stone, it produced a curvature in the as it went through the stone. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, David. And here we were getting a partial translucent effect at that same stone circle site. Not quite transparent, but getting there. It's another interesting shot. And here we have some Avery, obviously, stone, and that is now gone almost completely transparent. So it's another circle, another side. Somebody else doing these pictures. So what I'm trying to say is the evidence is accumulating not just from me personally, but from other people. In fact, anybody out there with a filter now is a researcher in the field. And again, this is a beautiful, the Michael ley line, okay? And not only does the ley line go through the landscape, it goes through the atmosphere as well, as you can see in this picture. Beautiful. But it's not straight, it's rather curvaceous, but absolutely beautiful. And here we have, an example of a line, another line meeting. It's partial ley line going across these, the Stanton Drew circle, again taken by my good friend and colleague, Carol Pearce. Now, this is an interesting place. Just give you a second to read that. These pictures are taken by my good friend and researcher, Jeff Ward. Associated with some very interesting energies. And here, almost had a sort of a very interesting form of energy, almost, dare I say, dragon-like. And here, we've got some very interesting circles, and a form of energy that could have been an old, shall we say, structure there in the past. And when we change heat change filters, I should say, one can see that this pattern of this energy left imprinted in the earth is still there. And this is a very ancient site in Ireland. And there we are changing filters again. The atmosphere is very turbulent with energy over these sites. And there you have more of these patterns emerging. West Kinnet Longbarrow, okay. Yeah, Hollywood didn't want me this week, but I told them I was coming to you. Harrison Ford still has his job. Pardon me? Oh no, I haven't got a ticket for it. Thank you, Annie. Yes. I'll remember that one. And just to show you I've got a big heart that can take almost anything. There we have my heart chakra, which tends to shine when I'm in a good place and in good company. And that was beaming away there. And here we have, people think that pyramids are Egypt, Mexico. Well, I'm sorry, the phenomena of those buildings and structures is worldwide, ladies and gentlemen, worldwide. Here I was in Bosnia at the Pyramid of the Sun. Now the difference that these Europeans have over the Egyptian ones is they're covered in vegetation. But we've seen the excavations. I was privileged to be shown the excavations of this, and there are blocks there underneath those.
I went there too.
Yes.
Go down there.
They are, definitely. And people get astonished when I show this picture. But pyramids are also associated with other things. And I've managed to get one in the picture here. And we're going to show a bit of video in a moment. And what these, for better word, UFOs, objects do, flying objects do, invisible to the naked eye, is they fly near the tops of these pyramids and they bathe in the energy that comes out the top. They charge up. Now, don't ask me why, how, okay, but that's what I've observed when I'm in the right place at the right time. And I seem to be put always, usually, in my work, in the right place at the right time. And you see the energy coming out the top, and they're zooming in, and it charges up, and sometimes they even seem to disappear inside the pyramid. Okay? Now, there may be people thinking, this is too fantastic to believe. When I was in America, I had a professor from a local university at the back of the auditorium, about now it happens actually, who jumped up from his chair at this point and said, I want to make a public announcement. I can't do the American accent. I want you to know that, including my students to know here, who've come to this lecture tonight, to see this man, that I wouldn't believe in any of this, even if it was true. And he stormed out the back of the door and banged it. I hope no one will do that tonight. I hope you'll all stay on your seats, at least to hear me out. But it does take a lot of mental shifting, if you're an orthodox scientist, to actually get into this mindset. Because I was a science teacher for many, many years, okay? So I was a sort of perpetrator of that mindset. I taught children in their science work to think in very logical, clear, focused ways. If you can't measure it, you can't see it, if you can't analyse it, you don't write it up in your notes. Well, I'm sorry, there's lots of things that I've expanded my mind on since those very scientific, reductionist days of my life. My science was good, it's held me in good stead to develop the technology. But I had to change this. Unless your mind, which if you think of is your lens on the universe, both seen and unseen, of everything you do, if your mind is not open, then it will be filtered, you will not see it. You will actually tailor your own reality. Oh, by the way, that last lot was books on pyramids, which I strongly recommend, not just because they mention me in it, but because it is a very good book. Those who want to take pyramid studies more further. Ah, yes. My favourite places on earth, North Wales, where David was born. Anybody wants to speak to him in Welsh afterwards, please feel free, or now if you want as well. And here we have beautiful energy mountain spot. And next shot, David. And there is a vortex of energy, very dissimilar to the one at the Glastonbury tour, but still a very special spot to the local people in North Wales. It's going through the different filters. There's control.
Is this a video? Yeah.
It's showing you the different phases that we saw. That's a pretty good filter for seeing the vortex. That's pretty good too. That's fine. Mount Snowdon, a place often visited for its views, but there's also not just the physical view, there's the invisible view, which I'm going to show you now. That's an ice cream cone I've got in my hand. I've got to have my focus on reality there. And this is the energy that's coming down. And it's even more prevalent in the next shot. There we are. Stuff, I can't even tell you what I think that is. Some people say it looks like a coiled up dragon with its tail and things. Well, and there we are. And mention vortices. Okay, these are kind of like whirlpools of energy, miniature tornadoes that you can't feel any breeze with if you're lucky. And here we had a group of people in, this was taken in Horn Farm many years ago, and it's a group of people who had come back from India, and they were practicing this special Raja yoga meditation. And they said, would I like to take a few pictures with my filter? And this is just one of several. People are there, some of them sitting on chairs, some of them cross-legged, meditating. And it's in a semi-darkened room, so there's no lights on or anything like this. And here, clearly, coming down on this person here, and a few other people's heads and things, they hit what I can only call, while I was watching, I'm just an observer, a certain resonant note between them. You know, did the Om sound and anything, but there was nothing like that going on. They were just silent. And then I put up my filter, and I saw these things coming down, so I snapped away as quickly as I could and managed to capture. You'll also get these vortices in places that are also can show interdimensional, I call it, phenomena. And this is a haunted house. And in the ceiling, where a lot of phenomena was happening in this room at that spot, I looked around and saw this happening. Okay, just an ordinary mountain, but most mountains have a interface of the heaven and the earth. Think of them as like interfaces or capacitors. We're even doing a spectrum analysis there. That's what that graph is. It's not actually part of the picture, it's superimposed for my analysis. And clear day, and here, you know, we have lines coming through the earth, we have lines going through the air, the atmosphere. And when they come, a case, Glastonbury talks very special, but certain mountains, not everyone, and they interface, they bring energy down and they send energy up. And this is why, if you think about most of the world's great religions, mountains are involved. Okay, that's all I should say on the subject, but it changes consciousness, expands. I think that's why, in a secular society, that's why people will risk their lives and lose them trying to summit Mount Everest, which locally is a very holy mountain indeed. Just a thought for those poor souls lost recently. And here we have a very holy place indeed in the Americas. Okay, I always annoy my American friends when I always say, beginning my lecture, it's lovely to be back in the colonies. And I said, you realise if you hadn't had that certain tea party, which still be, you know, perhaps better than the physical union of Europe, but I've said I wouldn't get political. Good idea that was. And here we have the energy of Niagara Falls. And the First Nation people, a medicine man told me at the time, he said, you know, Harry, he came up to me after I said, you don't know this, but you are also a medicine man. I said, well, yeah, I've studied, I mean, I've got a homeopathic doctorate in medicine. No. With the earth and the sky, the heavens and the forces of nature, you are a medicine man because you deal with them all the time. I haven't thought of it that way. But this medicine man said, take a camera and photograph a vortex at the bottom of Niagara Falls, which is sacred to the North American Indian people, First Nation people. And so I did this with, supervised by Dr. Brian Daly, who was my host. And after my colonial British jokes, he got a special barrel ready for me that he wanted me to test out. Well, I didn't climb into it. You hear that, Brian? No, wasn't going to fall for that one. So, anyway, we're going to show you, there's the control view, what Niagara looks like normally. There's a still energy view, but we're going to show you now actual video. My voice was a bit croaky for singing this song, so I apologise.
Around
I see this, I get a shivering feeling. That's why I drop the water. Well, the water in the bottle, not the other water.
You're just waiting for the ride.
Those quite family.
Not with this rain.
You found a way. You're just waiting for the ride.
There's the vortex. There you see that filter.
When you're gonna let go and forget about the life you
When the First Nation people talk about a vortex, they talk of something, a doorway into another dimension. It's very cool. Sometimes places of their ancestors.
Now you know that it's all borrowed time, but still you waste another day. But you watch and you wait for a sign all along the way.
Thank you, David. Right, I'm going to change tack quite dramatically, actually, because the system doesn't just show the energy of beautiful places, it can show the energy of tragic places as well. And this was a live feed that we tapped into from 2011, the disaster at Fukushima. And these are normal pictures from the live feed of the reactors, right, before the explosions. And these are the reactors after the explosion. Now, there's no explosion going on that's happened. We didn't record that, the actual explosion itself. We just, I thought I'd like to see what the energy is like before and what the energy is like around now after the explosion has occurred and the dust has cleared. But as you can clearly see, that's the energy before, at the top there, except processed through my special seeing eye software, NEV, New Energy Vision. But where reactor 2 had blown the top off itself and everything, and over here, the explosion of energy, of radiation, is still going on. It's going on at this moment in time. And if any of you do have any kind of Geiger counter or scintillator measurement, you'll see that background radiation has gone up more than I would like to tell you since 2011 and the disaster. It's more than what the governments are telling you. Okay? There are sort of wars and politics now that are taking the news and some terrible disasters. But this is a continuous polluting disaster still going on. Okay? There's a blow up of it. And our technology, and no, this is not now all sense of humour gone for me now. This technology can monitor this and see it. Right, back to a more nicer subject. 1990, I was befriended by a group called Current 93. They were a heavy metal type band, and they came to me for scanning and everything with my equipment, and I helped them. And they said to me, you know, Harry, we've been looking and observing your system very carefully, and there were some technocrats amongst them. And they said, is there sound coming off your crystals? And I said, yes, with my healing apparatus, where I use electromagnetic fields and light to pulse the crystals so they can, you know, heal people, you know, and help them. And they said, if the crystals, your healing crystals are giving off sound, we can record the sound and we'll put it into an album for you. And you can, instead of, you know, giving crystals to people and giving sometimes apparatus, perhaps by, getting the CD out there, you will get an effect. And I said, well, yeah, but, something like that is very expensive. Oh, no, we'll take care of it, In fact, when the CD is made, it's going to be your copyright, it's going to be yours, so you can generate funds to go back into your very important research. And I bless their name every day, because if it wasn't for them, I couldn't have got things, to this level that I'm showing you tonight. And here, again, the lovely Evie, who doubles as my glamorous model. I can't afford, I'm not going to joke about that, my glamorous assistant, Evie. And here, she's actually got some auric field, it's full of red energy on that side where she had a problem with her throat and a tooth, an infected tooth. And she did an experiment in Australia here where she's listening to the crystal sound music CD, and that was after she would listen to it. Now, there's still some remnants there, the toxins from the infected tooth, which was dealt with, of course, later when we got back to the UK. But not only had her tooth improved after that, but the whole atmosphere around her had changed to a much lighter and brighter and healing energy field. That's the before and that's the after comparison. And if you want to see what these crystal sounds look like, you're looking at them now. Because this is something from my good friend, researcher John Reed, who has invented something called the cymoscope. And it's a vibrating membrane, ladies and gentlemen, where you can actually see sound occurring. You can put anything through it, human voice, music, anything you want. And these vibrations will form most fantastic patterns. In fact, some people say they're like mandalas, like seen in India. But these are dynamic, they're living, they're moving. We're actually seeing living sound here. And we've processed them through our special software to make them even more contrasting and visible. And you saw a little entity. You see that? A fly past now. Let me show you more of those. Okay? In fact, I'm going to show you a bit of video where I play with them. I mean, if a dragon appeared in Wales, I'd play with that as well, because I've got that kind of mentality, where if something doesn't kill you, you enjoy it. And here we have a triangular shapes, geometric shapes. And that's the part of the bigger pattern there. Beautiful mandala. Or a crop circle. Many crop circles form these patterns as well. Those of you that are interested in that research. Now, this is a video where I was with the MC Squared group at the Monroe Institute in America. Wonderful research institute. And we were privileged to film. They were doing a sound experiment in this group. And they're doing the sacred Om sound. It's going around. Look at this young lady here on her chest. Ooh. Got your attention. Sorry about that. Burst somebody's eardrums. I apologise most profusely. And we noticed that this young lady, she's just wearing a plain t-shirt, but she had the figure of a cross over her torso. And Dr. Daly and I, that's Dr. Daly actually standing next to her, he's very good energy, very balanced and green in his own, but there was this green cross and this almost like flames coming off the cross. So I said to this Dr. Daly, this is what I've seen, I showed him the footage, and he said, well, let's have a chat with her. So we did, and we said, oh, is there anything unusual? She said, well, I'm doing special healing at the moment. And I said, well, what kind of healing? Well, she said, my healing is channeled and dedicated to the healing ministry of Christ. And she was stamped. I don't know, maybe the Almighty has a rubber, special spiritual stamp. I don't know what he stamped me with, but I live in hopes. But anyway, right across her heart, lovely. And she didn't know what we were asking her those questions for. Here we have some of these beautiful crystals that I was telling you about earlier. We used in meditation healing. The energy fields around these were taken by my stepson David here. Beautiful pictures. Takes better pictures than me. Getting jealous, I think, David. Beautiful, look at that. It's just output of energy there, and this sort of channel of energy, almost like a mini ley line that was set up across with this crystal in the environment. Again, completely different energy with each crystal. Has a fingerprint. Now, coming on to something. Sometimes these crystals are not empty, they're occupied. They're occupied with elemental energy. And I believe they're a type of life form. One here, one here. And they're amorphous, but they can change shape and produce patterns. Now, when I look around you, okay, I'm seeing life forms on this planet, all life on this planet, whatever it is, so far we know of, is based on the element carbon, okay? Now, carbon is a very special element. It's got electrical properties called valency, and it has a valency of 4, right? And that's the only element that has, apart from another, I'm going to tell you about in a moment, that has the ability to take on 4 electron charges and give them up as well, share them. The other element, as far as we know, is silicon, silicon dioxide, which is a metal, okay? And that has a valency of 4. So it's very interesting. I've seen what I think are silicon-based life forms that I photographed coming out of these silicon crystals. And when they're fully expanded, they become quite spectacular. That's just a small one. And here is Dr. Daly, who is at the Munro Institute again, that's interacting with one of it's about the size of a standing stone, but it's just one crystal. It comes from Arkansas. And here, the MC Square group again, you saw earlier, and they are communicating with this crystal and channeling energy to this crystal, white light. You can see it glowing. And then we're going to send this white light to somebody who was in hospital recovering from a very serious operation, who was a member of this group. And I was very privileged to video it. And in a moment, when they reach a certain synchronous pitch of thought, you'll see a burst of white light, which you can't see with the naked eye, come out of the crystal, and then it's gone to their friend in hospital, and then it gets withdrawn. That's me using the telephoto. Because when I was getting too close with the computer, it was crashing with some sort of energetic interference. Yeah, burst of white light. And then it gets drawn back in the crystal once they've finished their healing process. Photographed in real time. And do remember, in the past and now, only people with gifts of vision can see this kind of thing. And what we've done over the years, since 1980, is combine healing crystals with electronics in the form of electromagnetic pulsing apparatus and the natural healing crystals that are found all over the earth. This is the Crystal Harmony Light Unit, and some of the crystals that in miniature form are placed in a special tube and function at the top of the light unit. And this unit is then pulsed. You're going to see some of what we call energetic plasma that comes out of this apparatus. Now, I'm right in thinking, David, that this was filmed by your mum, and it's not in slow motion. It's actually, this is real timed.
With a camcorder.
with the camcorder. Okay, now we also switch to the computer software in a moment, and we actually see more. So what David has done is switch wavelengths here to blue, violet, and green, and they all behave quite differently. Look at that. Something is actually coming out of the apparatus. When you hold a crystal, okay, for those people who feel something from them, sensations, tingling, you know, you're actually feeling a real energy that is travelling from the crystal to you. And this is now we've switched to the computer software. I'll be, before the break, I'll be looking at some of your energies with this computer system, with your permission. And as long as I can talk about what I see, nobody minds. But you say, just say, no, you know. I will back off. No, do not worry about this, everybody. This, I wanted to be, I know Andy does, a fun, educational evening.
I've got a Scaramanga third nipple, so...
Yeah, you're worth your weight in gold, young man.
Yes, indeed.
In America, I was given the finger as well by some people. I didn't know it. I thought it was some kind of exotic salute. Especially after my colonial travels. Very sensitive. Ah, right. So now we had here, at in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia, near the. I'm not going to break out the song. You don't want to hear about this. Near the Monroe Institute, and we were staying at a lovely bed and breakfast. And there was this lovely Great Dane, but she spent a lot of time on the sofa. And I said to the owner, I said, what's wrong? Well, why doesn't she, is she old? She said, no, she's quite young, but she has a problem. I wonder if with your camera, special software, could you detect what's wrong? And Dr. Daly was there making notes next to me. And what I detected right away was something called this pattern I've seen before in large dogs especially. Hip and people, hip dysplasia, okay? And it's where the base chakra is wide open and leaks energy. And by the way, these lines going through her, that's the end of her paw, by the way. It's a foreleg, a bit of a head, there's a nose. And these fine going through that, there, but there was no energy flowing through that spot, so it's a sort of dead area. Diagnosed by the veterinary as hip dysplasia too, of course. And so we decided we'd do something to help her. There's the energy physically leaking, nearly a foot away from the back of the leg and the hip. Actually see, it's like a waterfall, like Niagara, coming out of her. And there's the blockage of energy. Now, so I decided, look at this, we'd work on the blockage of energy and try and sort it. And so we put crystals on, there's the crystals on her. And she started to sort of groom herself. Very happy we'd had that on. She liked it. I think she liked the sounds of the crystals that she could hear, but not human ears could hear. And she was so responsive to this that a few minutes later she got up from the sofa and jumped off and started to run across the room to her owner. And the owner became very emotional because she hadn't seen her pet do that for a long time. So that's the before, that's the after. Oh, by the way, we do this on people as well. We assist them in helping to get better. And people say, well, you know, Harry, I'm very interested in crystal balls, okay? What kind of energy comes out of them? And no jokes here, Andy, please. Thank you. This is the energy that's coming out of this particular crystal ball. beautiful pulsing energy. Now, I'm not telling any fortunes tonight. I don't come from that area of expertise. But I can tell you that real crystal, not glass, but real crystal, does have special properties of radiative energy. Thank you. Now, I was very privileged while I was in Australia doing a conference with Nexus magazine. Beautiful sunshine coast. And there was also a guest, the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull. And I was privileged to be, they wanted to see what energy was around it. And guess what? A swirling, scintillating vortex that you can see. People said to me, Harry, is the skull genuine? Is it as old as they say? And I said, well, I don't care if it's 10,000 years old or 10 minutes old. Look what it does with the energy in the environment and around people. It affects people, it improves the environment, and sometimes helps people in their lives. So to me, it's a genuine thing, very genuine thing. Now another little crystal, they don't have to be worth over $1 million or more, like the Mitchell Hedges. They can be something picked up at Glastonbury in a special crystal shop. And a young researcher came with her skull. She said she thought it was very special. And this is an energy interaction. She's a healer, amongst other things, a very good therapist, with her own skull here, done in my laboratory in Telford. Okay, now, there are little things start to appear, start to move. Wriggly little things, almost like worms, but they are crystal entities, I call them. There they are. And one appears and produces what I can only describe as a human brow chakra appearance. There it is. And she works with this particular crystal for healing purposes. And there it was, which it wasn't there before. That's me on a winter's morning against a snowy background. David. These elementals are all around us, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be frightened. Most of them are here to help you. And they go on doing their natural business without buying leave from us. And they've been doing it since time immemorial, long before we ever appeared as a species on the earth. Our ancient folklore speaks of elementals, fairy kingdoms, and forces of nature, will-o'-the-wisps, sprites. I could go on and on, tell you of our folklore. But let me actually show you them. That would be far better, I think. Okay. And here I am in Australia, and all I can tell you is they're like little miniature dragons in the air. Okay? Streaking through there. Some people call them arrows of energy and things like this. They sometimes have appeared in photography like this. Orbs as well, okay? There's a very good example, okay? Now this is an empty alcove where I was it's a study of a doctor, dentist friend of mine. I don't particularly went out to be friends with dentists. I'm quite scared of them really, but this one was very nice. And I said, well, can I go in there and play with them? And he said, yes. And there they are, coming in front of me, going around my neck. I'm feeling the sensation. It's like a spider's web that you've walked into with your face. That's the sensations they were giving me. I said, will you fly around my hand? Oh, and when they played a joke and went through my hair, what little I had left of it. There we go. Now one, I start to sort of tease them verbally, and one flies through my stomach. You'll see this happen because of my reaction. And I'm saying, is that what you can do? See some more, see some more. They've not finished with me yet. Here they come. Oh, by the way, this is the kind of thing I do for fun. Okay? I also do weddings and children's parties, just to earn a little bit of research money. Come on, I say, you're a bit quiet at the moment. Ah, there, one came through the back, through my stomach, which I felt. It wasn't unpleasant. It was a bit like, when you're in a plane, I should talk about this, probably travelling to the Middle East soon, 7-hour flight, 8-hour flight, and you go for a bump in the air, an air pocket. It was just like that sensation as one of these travelled through my stomach. And this was witnessed by several people, including the gentleman whose study it was. The Aboriginal people, by the way, in the Sydney area here, knew about these. They weren't surprised to see these sort of pictures and things. In fact, I was approached by a local elder of a local tribe who said that, and also he was talking about the pictures I showed of the moon energy, which you'll see later. I put these things down the telescope as well, because there's energy out there in the universe from the stars, from the moon, from the sun, as you would think, but invisible stuff. And he said that I proved to him the stories of his childhood told by his elder folk of his tribe when he was a boy. How far off the break, Angie? Because I lose track of time.
Yeah, we can do another 5 minutes.
Terrific. Okay, I'm going to just stop it there. I'll tell you why. Because for 5 minutes, I want to have a little look at energies of people. I won't stop there. It's just that I thought just to get the lights back on.
You want the lights on?
Otherwise, people only remember seeing in the dark. Can't have that. David, could you set up there? Real-time observation, please. And with the lighting conditions, can I have blend 2 filter? Thank you.
Do you want lights on, lights off?
No, this is fine. This is fine now.
See what that says?
That's HP. There we go. Okay, this is what you normally look like. A little bit lower resolution. And right, blend 2, please. That is the sea of energy that all of you live in.
This used to be a biker club. See?
Oh. Young lady there. Love made me.
Not made me do it.
Oh, right, is that right? Well, what's your first name?
Shirley.
Shirley. I'm just doing this, purely for demonstration. Ask Elliot, he lived through the experience. But you, young lady, have been going through some negative experiences recently with your health. And would you mind coming out so I can look at some of your chakras and things a bit closer? Would you please say we've never met before this evening?
We've never met.
No. Now, come over here, my darling. I want you to sort of face here, because I want you to see also what's coming on the screen there. Okay? Now, there's your brow chakra. You see that? Okay. Now, that's a little bit congested. Okay? Yeah. Something has affected. You've had a bad reaction with something.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Had a really bad weekend.
It's affected your immune system.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I? Well, I usually am right.
Yeah.
That's why I have to go to the Okay, my love. Now I'm just checking to see if it's something that invaded you, or is it something you ingested or drank. And could I just have you? So that's this undone, my darling. because I need to look at that tummy energy.
Like a main coat. What are you wearing?
Okay. And can I sit behind, please? Yeah, thank you very much indeed, love. Very good of you to come out here.
It's okay.
But you gave me a bit, I was just sort of panning the camera around and you just gave me a bit of surprise. My expert eye goes to things that are interesting and good looking. David, go back to PIP. A few other things I want to tell you, but I need more contract. They're looking at meridians, you see, of your arms. We don't know that's a meridian going through Shirley's arm. And I'm also now going to analyse a few of her acupuncture points so I can see what's caused this reaction in her immune system. That's caused her a lot of discomfort. I just need to look at the palm of your hand. Now, look at this, okay? And I'm going to pick out some active points. So, things, when I was invited to mainland China, I was privileged to train 6 barefoot doctors from a particular hospital in Luchong province in this system, which the hospital took on. And some of them, one or two of them took the system to their hearts, because one of them said, this is what we were taught, you know, from our books and everything. We're actually seeing it in a living, real energy. Wrist point. Shirley, believe in me, I'm going to give you some good advice out of this, so you'll be hopefully pleased that I picked you. Shirley, bless your heart, I got enough information for that. Have my seat, please. Yes, I'm from that generation of courtesy. Shirley, I think it could have been something that triggered something from the environment. Somebody could have been spraying the chemical, or it could have been something that was in food that you don't know you've got an allergy to yet.
Yeah.
Okay, does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I've got to ask you is here.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you do here? Was this an injury? Okay. It's quite near the tailbone, but it involves L3, L4 also of the vertebral column. And it has sort of like the spacing between the vertebrae have got smaller, the discs, okay. Little wear and tear, okay. This makes sense to you. But also, I have to ask you about sensations in your feet.
Yeah.
Because you're a martyr to your feet, Shirley. And can I go on even more? Okay. The other thing is, in childhood, you almost died, okay? Yeah. And I'm going to tell Shirley how this occurred, okay? I reckon you're about 5, 6 years old, maybe a little older, okay? But sort of early school age, okay? And it was connected with an infection, caused high fever, and high fever, I have to say, nearly took you from this world. In fact, you may have had a near-death experience while this goes on, because your spiritual chakra, your brow chakra, your crown things, very highly developed, you know. And it could have been from that experience, or all the experiences you've had up to this moment in time in consciousness. This is just feedback I can give you from this, but you lived. Okay, I think there's some very great deal of love around you at the time, not just medicine, because I didn't see any kind of problems there. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I don't think you've taken much medicine in your lifetime. I see you very much in her overall energy as going toward natural things and therapies and lifestyle. Also, Shirley, you just have to watch out for your left eye, which has more dioptic, if you wear reading glasses or anything like that, you've got more dioptic correction needed in your left eye than your right eye. on this here, back here, okay, there was some sort of dental work, okay, and the dentist should have been shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shirley, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. There shall be much more after the break. I'm going to ask a favour of you. I know you're going to have lots of questions for me and everything. I'm going to put time at the end. David's going to be on a table. People have been asking already about the filters, Andy, and they're going to be available from David. Sorry, Claire.
No, will be over there.
Oh, you'll be over there. I thought you pointed towards your Claire. Okay. Poor Claire. Don't want to save you an avalanche. Okay. I don't want to be rude or anything, but I want to keep my mind focused so I can perhaps do 1 or 2 more volunteers after the break, which I'm not going to pick out, maybe Andy will, and see what we can pick up. Secrets.
Yeah, it's cool. Money bags.
Surely you didn't mind, did you? You were plunged in the deep end. I hope my advice has been helpful, because this is what my system's all about. It's only to educate people and to help people. I don't exist for any other reason. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much for coming back.
Always have a quick look around to see if there's just as many people in the second half as there was in the first half. No, I think there's actually more of you. I'll take that as a good sign. And the people are still coming back. So, basically, you know, people say, well, you know, somebody asked me in the break, you know, the vortices. I mean, do you have to have any special places or conditions for them to occur? And the answer is, where there are special places, there are special people. Do you want to look above this young lady's head? Oh, it's gone now, as soon as I pointed it. But there's a vortex that is connected. Yes. Oh, sorry. I shut it off before I went to the loo. Yeah, so I put it back on again. It could be very embarrassing. I can't seem to bring... sorry. Oh, right. Yep.
This thing here?
I promise you.
No, it's dark at the back. But it kind of reflects the skin tone.
Very booming voice. It's a funny thing. Oh, just a loose connection.
We just have to do it.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All good children go to heaven.
You can't be sure of that, Harry.
No, I can't. Just the first thing that came to my mind.
I have to issue disclaimers.
Understood. Okay. Anyway, good to be back, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very keen to carry on where I left off. Thank you very much, young lady Shirley, for volunteering earlier. I don't think she expected that. I didn't expect that. Okay, and Shirley will confirm I never spoke to her beforehand or anything about it. I was able to pick that up from the information of what my apparatus was showing me of your energy. And there were 1 or 2 people in the break. I saw some interesting things that I told them about young people. Nothing too serious, but this is what I do with animals, I do it with people, and I do it with friends, relatives, everything. Crystals. Crystals. So, my adjudicator. Oh, Andy's at the back. Okay. Keep the rush away, Andy. I think we had a couple of volunteers. Okay. Okay. Any particular order? Okay. A young man in the front. There was a young lady. Okay, there and there. So we have about 3 or 4 people. And then what I'll do is I'll carry on. I'm sorry about the boring lecture. Okay. I'll carry on with the rest of the boring lecture for you. Then I'll finish off with a few more analytical live energy observations. which I find more exciting than my lectures actually, because I know what's coming in my lectures. I never know what's coming when I look at a human being's energy field. It's a micro-universe to me, and I want to show it to you. So, what's your first name, young man?
Spicy fingers.
Spicy Fingers.
First and last name.
Very much indeed. Is it all right to call you Spicy?
Call me Spicy.
Okay, Spicy. Cute. Now, if you just face me, actually, I do want you to see this. So, if that's the way I had it, let me show you. So, okay. Oh, quite an interesting. Spicy, I want you to face me there. David, you might need to move those bottles out of the way because I. Spicy, you are magic. Absolutely magic with your energy fields. So you've got a very, very strong heart chakra, okay? I don't mean that just in a physical way, but it is very strong, like an athlete. Maybe in the past, I don't know, now. It is also a very sort of good heart, in the sense like, you know, if you had 1p in your pocket and it was a case of helping somebody with that 1p or walking home on the bus because you couldn't afford the fare, you'd walk rather than take the bus and give it to that person. Because he has cultivated an energy field there that attracts a lot of white light into himself, brilliant heart chakra. There's also your pendant is special. It's got orgonite, because that's a special energy that I want to show you in there, pulsing away. In fact, you can actually see almost like one of Shirley's acupuncture points there, pulsing there, and there's also brilliant white light at the top there. Could even be some entity, crystal or healing entity involved in there. When I use the word entity, I don't mean it in a negative way, but in a positive earth, life, energy way. Now you've got some very strong meridians there. Could I get you to roll up your sleeve, please, Spicy? Brilliant. You've almost, what I call, you've got sort of palm chakras. Now that means that you have healing ability, strong healing ability, my friend. Very strong meridians. We have 6 running down each side of us. Each goes through each arm, and they are pulsing very nice. But now, if you relax. Blend 2, please switch. I'm seeing the hints of something which I want to tell Spicy about. There we are. And yeah. All coming off that ankle and that leg. Yeah, you've had some kind of injury to that leg and that ankle, okay, and going up, which does travel up further. And there's still echoes of the past there, where, you know, if you were doing sort of, I don't know, you know, squat jumps or something with exercise, you'd be favouring a little bit on that side because it still feels not quite right from that injury time, okay? You didn't ride a motorcycle, did you?
No, bicycle.
Bicycle. And did the injury come from the bike? You're knocked down by a car? Yeah. That pattern is very similar, as I was able to pick up that life-threatening echo that Shirley still has in her from childhood. It's not affecting you now, Shirley, you understand, don't worry. And just as with Spicy here, if he kicked you with his left leg or his right leg, you'd still get the full power. Not that Spicy would ever do that. If he was kicking a football, shall we say, you know, it would be with equal force. You're very symmetrically balanced young man. There was a time, okay, when I don't know if it was from the same accident, but when your head was hurt, okay? No, sorry, take that back. It was a kind, yeah, there it is. And that is an old kind of whiplash type injury. You have where your neck was thrown forward or backwards very suddenly, and it could have been from the same incident. They look about the same time period, but I can't be absolutely 100% sure. You know, because I'm not under clinical conditions here. I'm just flying this from the seat of my pants with my experience, as they say. Okay, Spicy. Thank you very much. Pleasure.
I told you I was not ready.
Now, one of the young ladies, and then this young lady over there afterwards. Thank you. What's your first name?
Shona.
Shona. Thank you, Shona, for volunteering. We slip back, please, to PIP. Now, something that sticks out very clearly there is your throat chakra, okay? And do you see those sort of dark little bits there?
Yeah.
That's connected with your thyroid gland, okay? And your thyroid gland, Shona, is on the slow side of normal, okay? Now, normal is this sort of curve we have in medicine science, and this is sort of high, and that's low, and you're well over on the low side. So you have a problem with the thyroid to where, I'm not saying you haven't got energy, but there are times when you are wiped out with energy, which doesn't exist. I mean, you almost feel like you have to just go to bed or lie down on the couch or something and rest and, you know, have fluids. Blend two, please. This helps me see through clothing, but, you know, in a medical sense, you understand? Yep. Okay. Pendant has a lot of energy too. It's special. I think I'm surprised there's not crystals there.
There is one.
Is there?
Yeah.
Gosh. Well, I can see with this what I can't see with my eyes. It looks like a nice piece of tourmaline. Well done, girl. I'd recommend you to wear something of the region, something blue around your neck, like turquoise.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're attracted to turquoise, turquoise also balances fluids in the body because you have a metabolism that tends to hold on to fluid.
Yeah.
Okay. And it doesn't matter about diets or anything. Nothing will happen.
No.
Okay. This is to do with metabolism. Okay. It's something I'm sorting out. Well, I used to sort out for 25 years every day in clinic, but I can tell you now. You need iodine, okay, homeopathic, okay, on the throat. And by the way, this is not taking the place of a medical diagnosis or orthodox medical drugs or operations or needles and any of the other horrific things I could think of if I was an orthodox doctor. So put your mind at that.
Yeah.
And also kelp and seaweed. Very good to start activating this back to the normal range. But I've got to ask you of a little incident here. I'm seeing a type of small operation or anything like that. Have you had children?
No.
Okay. Did anything happen to your womb in any respect that you know of? Okay. Could I get you just to lift up just this part? That's it. That's what I need to see. You see this sort of grey sort of mist there? Okay. That means the sort of womb bladder area is losing energy. Okay. It sometimes can happen post surgical.
Right.
Or when a young lady's had a baby years before and the womb hasn't settled down or something like that. But now, so thank you for being so nice. That is the disturbance I'm looking for. But it's been bad for you, and I want to recommend evening primrose oil,
Yeah.
starflower oil.
Yeah.
Get plenty of that into you. And also homeopathic sepia.
Right.
Very good for this time of life. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Shauna, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
What's your first name, young lady?
Patrice. Patrice.
Patrice.
Yeah.
Patrice, thank you very much for volunteering. Came on. Now, you can watch what happens here on the screen as I look at you. Very interesting there, because you're opening up now. But you've got what I call a shy psychic brow chakra. Okay? You get, yeah, definitely. You get feelings about things, okay? Sometimes not always confident to talk about them, okay? Your perception of this universe on a social scale and on a bigger scale has fantastic potential, okay? You're very special. Well, everybody I've seen is very special, but oh gosh, look at that. Whirling chakra. I'm going to control. May I, with your permission, try and get closer? In fact, you've got what I call a double chakra there. Can you see the two vortices of energy? And that means that you function on this plane, this physical plane, very well indeed. But you also get, for example, you know, these kind of patterns are showing me. Can I look at another part of your brain? Thank you. I could do a whole conference on you alone for 2 days. That's a compliment. You know, if I get bored, you see my feet walk that way, you know. Oh, look at that crown chakra. Whoa, beautiful. And look at things going up from her crown. Look at that, floating. Beautiful. That's what I thought. See, I'm not saying you daydream at work or anything like this, but you do have a mind that can, it's great imagination, okay? You have an artistic temperament, which is very creative, but you can put your mind to almost anything and be very good at it. I reckon you have been, I don't know how old you are, but in the past or in the future you can be a straight A student or college or university. You put your mind to anything, you'd achieve it, because you have the ability of integration between crown and brow, okay? I don't show up, but I've got the same thing. It's waning a little bit as you get into your 60s, you know, things like this. You haven't got to worry about that, have you, girl? No, you've got it all ahead of you. And that's what I'm thinking. Whatever you put your mind to, it's going to be good. But young lady, you've got to watch out for your diet. Okay, that's a lot on your mind, isn't it? Okay. And I'm not quite sure if you've always made the right choice in the way it goes. Am I? Yeah.
And I've only recently stopped eating meat. Well, recently in January I stopped eating meat.
In January you stopped eating meat. Now I have to ask you, what blood type are you?
I'm active.
Okay.
I don't know.
I reckon you're blood type O. Now that is the original hunter-gatherer blood type. And I'm the same. I tried, in my university days I went vegetarian after reading the great Mahatma Gandhi, some of his writings and things. So I said when the great Mahatma was doing all his civil disobedience, the salt rebellions and against the salt tax and the British and everything, he was on a diet of fruit and nuts. So I thought, well, I'm CMD, I'm going to be there. I was arrested outside the American embassy. Okay, with the Vietnam War, by the way, but that's a long time ago. I'm not suggesting you do anything like that. But I went on this special vegetarian peanut diet, walking across the university campus one day, I just collapsed. Woke up in the infirmary, finding the doctor looking up all my arms, and they're looking, the nurse was looking at my legs, of course, but the doctor was looking at my arms, and they were looking for track marks to see if I was on drugs. And no kind of blood tests in those days. It's too long ago. And he said, what blood type are you? Show me your teeth. And I showed him the camera. He said, you give up eating meat, By the end of this year, they won't be taking you to your graduation, they'll be taking you away in a box. You've got to start eating meat again, and I didn't want to. You know, all my, you know, I love animals. And as soon as I started to have my first, it was Wimpy in the days, the great burger place, my first Wimpy burger, I started to become normal. I started to think properly and things. So what's been happening since January? You've been going well and sparkling as usual, especially with your friends and everything, but you know that some of the dazzle has gone down.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, if you could think of these sort of high, I'm not saying, you know, burgers or anything, not teaching young people bad habits, but if you don't go sort of on about and go for the whey protein drinks, something like that, do you understand? That hasn't hurt an animal or anything in the process, but get some protein, even just a token, and you need that, you do, okay? And I'm not lecturing here. I only maneuver people into a place where they want to be. And I'm just the kind of additional paddler on your team for a short time, pointing you and giving you energy to get to the right direction. I'm a guidance counsellor when it comes to natural medicine. And with that, I've seen many people get better. But there's nothing wrong with you, okay? Nothing wrong with you, okay? So, the other thing I wanted to mention, yeah. Dentally speaking, okay, very good teeth, very impressed with you, like I have been with everything else. But there is metal in there, okay? And I think there's been a reaction on your new diet with some of the metal. Now, I don't think it's mercury, I think it's gold. Am I right?
I'm not too sure what I have used in the past.
But you've had mercury in the past, but there is a kind of a little thing around.
Yeah,
you know.
like if I have sugar, I get too sensitive teeth as
Yeah,
well.
okay. That's the only thing I'm asking you to watch out for. And then, you know, the moderation of your diet, not the change, but moderation of what you're already doing, which is very good, you know, but just that little bit of protein now and again. So if you get invited to a fondue party, do they have fondue parties, or am I showing my age? They'll come back. On YouTube, fondue parties, okay? And if you get, you're allowed to dip in the cheese, you know. Bless you, bless you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been brought here to finish a lecture, okay? I hope you'll all agree with me that this is sort of embellishing the lecture in more ways than one, because this is what I'm good at. You are all my living subjects of invisible universes, which I can see with my apparatus, either with a filter or this, an EV apparatus, and it can be made visible. So I must sort of conclude all these sort of history bits that I'm going to be showing you, and then we'll finish off the evening with a few more volunteers. Are we, hang on, I look at my daddy's watch, which I always wear with this waistcoat. Don't tell me I've lost it. Okay, yep, here we go. Ooh, right, okay, we're nowhere near the midnight hour. Cinderella, hang up your hat. Okay, and speaking of stars like Cinderella, I'll change that. Star Observer, here we are with one of my telescopes that I've converted to with our software to observe through the telescope. And this, with the rings of beautiful energy around there, is the moon. These are the tops of the trees from our back garden. Absolutely fantastic. And that's in another filter. The beautiful concentric rings of energy. And here we actually have a movie of the circulating energy around the moon. Now, people have said to me, well, that's probably the electromagnetic field. Well, I'm sorry, but the moon doesn't have an electromagnetic field. There's something else circulating around the moon. And here, the moon also, we've heard of sun flares, where there's also moon flares of energy. Look at that. It goes off, you know, thousands of kilometres into space, probably to the Earth. Thank you. That's much better contrast. And we're going through the different filters so you can see the energy. That particular one is showing the energy. That's blend 2, one of my favourite filters for seeing all the energy there. That's more of a control shot. So the moon is not just a dead piece of rock up there, ladies and gentlemen. It's definitely, as in astrology will say, it's still a very active planetary body. And at the centre of our solar system we have our beautiful Solaris, our sun. Some of the patterns that we can see of energy, especially come from the tornadoes that happen on the sun, which some of them are as big as the American continent. There's the field around it, okay. As well as telescopes, I've attached my technology to the smallest scope in science, which is the microscope. And I've done it in a very special way because I have managed over the last 3 years to, shall we say, resurrect the Rife microscope. Now, for some of you may not know about it, but one of the things, the Rife treatment devices have come from America, but no one has been able to reproduce the effects of the Rife microscope. And I'm very proud to tell you, it's my first public announcement, that I have been with my assistance with my stepson David and able to visualize plant microviruses with the light microscope. Many, many tens of thousands of times larger than what the ordinary light microscope would achieve. And one of the secrets of getting this right is what Rife told us. You have to resonate the medium and the virus with special light frequencies, which we have adopted and imitated, to make these invisible things visible. Normally they're only seen with the electron microscope. This is not an electron microscope. It's a reproduction, in my humble way, of the Rife microscope. And can you go back to the first one, David? This is what's all, this is one single bacterium. Can you see the light that's coming from it there? You hit certain frequencies with rotating Risley prisms and special collimated beams of light and extension tubes, extension pathways of the light. We're able to see the energy, I think, of the DNA through the bacterium. Now people say, well, the DNA and the chromosomes are in the nucleus cell. Yes, in a eukaryote cell, which is cells like we have in our bodies, but not in a prokaryote, which are primitive cells, which are bacteria, yeast, etc. One of my orthodox science calls to fame is that I am a fellow of the Royal Microscopic Society, but I hope you as a group are not going to hold that against me in any way. Here we have a shot of an ordinary cross-section of a plant cell, and here with our special contrasting effects with the NEV system. And one thing you're always trying to do in ordinary microscopy, which is botany here, is you're always trying to get contrast and differentiation between cells and tissue. Most of the things under the microscope are invisible because you have to cut very thin sections. Here's tendon tissue. That's what the ordinary microscope sees. And then, when we look at the energy contrasting effect, you see much, much more. That's again plant cells again. And that's what you see, same plant cells with our effect. Different filters. Now, what I've been able to achieve, thanks to David and his superlative electronic skills, is produce optical staining in real time with something called the dynamic Reinberg illumination effect, which is David's electrical design. And here is the effect. Here there's a little, normally transparent waterfleet, but it's so clear you can see all the individual parts of it. It's just a still. And now I'm going to show you the mouth parts of a blowfly. Okay. I want to say officially at this moment in time, no flies on me. Okay. Well, there is, but can't talk about that. Anyway, here we go. Got the differentiation there going on with the special optical staining. At any one moment, we can still that, freeze that, and capture a still image of the type of colour staining and differentiation you want. You can do this with any cell, any tissue, anything under the microscope. And that's what I'm quite excited about, to also present this to you and make that announcement about the Rife technology, because this is our latest achievement. And all due credit to the great Dr. Royal Rife, who was a man born before his work was recognised by the orthodox scientific community. Okay, just go a little bit back in history. Curling photography, okay. First read a book called Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain, published by Abacus. Ostrander and Schroeder were the authors of this. And I saw, for the first time, my first phantom leaf effect. And this is where, 10 or 20% of a leaf is cut away, and in Curlian photography, the missing leaf, the energy part of form, is recorded, comes back. And any Canadians in the audience, this is for you, but it's for all of you. If you look at that point there, to the rest of the leaf, there at the top, there is no physical leaf. It's been cut away. It's only the energy. Now this is a special electronic camera, okay, that produces pulsed high-frequency corona discharge on the top plate. And an object goes on there, usually earthed, and it put a sheet in the old days, 1970s, of something called photographic film that actually recorded light directly onto its surface. It wasn't digital or video, and we had to develop the film afterwards in chemicals. Very nasty they were too. But here, we decided that we would do it with the whole plant, and this is a potato plant. Here with all its leaflets on, and there with them all off. There was a factor here, if you ever want to reproduce this. The plant has to be organically grown. If it's chemically fertilised in its lifetime, you will only get a partial phantom. Literally, hardly anything at all. Organically grown, the plant is there energetically in its entirety. So, there we are. Thinking of your diet here, young lady. Well done. Now, of course, with the new technology, transpose that idea with people, okay? People have lost fingers, lost arms. This young man lost an arm in a car accident, and at times he could feel the missing arm. Right down to the hands, he could feel the invisible hand moving. His partner could put things on his hand or something when he wasn't looking, and he'd feel it. So I said, well, that's interesting, Andy. When this is happening, will you come back and you've got a good sensation of the invisible arm, and let's see if we can see it. Right, you're on, he said, Harry. So he did, and there it is. Just explain, there's the stump, okay? There's the arm, the wrist, the hand, and even there's the thumb there. It's a little bit smaller in shape than what I think his physical arm had been. But there again, you know, it's a phantom, so we've got to have some leeway here. Now this is a Jiggle Master looking quite eye-popping because he is astonished at what he's seeing. For the first time, like my barefoot doctors I trained in China did, they were able to see meridians, acupuncture points and things that were talked about in their natural medicine books. Okay? And in the next shot, he was looking at the meridians down his arms, as I was able to do with Shirley and a few other people. Spicy, really strong meridian spicy. Is he still here? Oh, brilliant spicy. Glad you're still here. You haven't run out on me. Excellent. I need all that kind of energy coming this way. At my age, you know, I need all this good thoughts to keep me going. And here, the heart chakra, solar plexus chakra, and our meridians on the other side. Look at his throat chakra up there. Beautiful. Okay. However, somebody with a blocked heart chakra can develop heart trouble, and in this case it was angina pectoris, and it was blocked not over the physical heart, but more in the centre where we designate and see the heart chakra, the heart of the ancients, the centre of being. Here we have a young lady. Actually, David, I have to tell you, this is your mum. Okay, I called mum when she was very, very good. Probably just come back from swimming or something. Excellent. Then I did the same thing, poor girl, when she had a virus, like the flu symptoms, and energy was leaking from the meridians. It's like rivers. Unfortunately now, with the heavy rain, rivers are not only elevated, but they're bursting their banks, okay? And this happens with our own rivers of energy that flow down us. When we're sick, when we're infected, the river can go down and disappear almost, or it can rise and almost burst its banks. Same forces in the planetary nature of our Earth are with us in our own bodies. Okay, energy field of a normal young woman. Okay, solar plexus, splenic chakra, gallbladder meridian, splenic meridian, all quite normal. Then, 8 months later, can you see? Same girl, but she has something growing inside her. Guess what it is? The baby's head, it's not in the engaged position, so there's the baby's head. There's the crown chakra of the baby. There's a limb. There's another limb. There's the energy field of the baby. That's something about the placenta. Do remember, this is not X-ray, this is not ultrasound. It's just photographic camera being processed through our software, recording the energy of new life within the mother-to-be. And there's nothing on the medical side that can do that. Okay? Just by pointing camera. It's only light I am analysing. Here we have Dr. Brian Daly. And he was visiting, and he had developed something from aircraft infection to the throat. Now the reason when you do long haul flights, a lot of us get throat, sometimes chest, sinuses, yeah? And it's because we don't have smokers anymore in the air. It's very sad. Because when we did, they used to smoke at the back of the aircraft. I'm old enough to remember. And nearly every other flight, the filters, because of the smokers in the aircraft, were changed. Now, to visually, the air filters are so clean, ladies and gentlemen, on long-haul flights. I have to tell you by an engineer, and I can't mention his name, or the carrier, or the airline, but they hardly ever change their filters. Don't have to. But do remember, you're breathing recirculated air, travelling through the filters. If there are any viral particles, bacterial spores, you'll breathe it in. And if your immune system is at a point where it's too low, you'll get infected. So what I do on long-haul flights, I have a special handkerchief, which is really a kind of mask, and I have it filled with eucalyptus and tea tree oil, okay, and I give my immune system a good boost with my crystals. And occasionally, every half hour or so, I take some good deep breaths with that. And I've never caught a thing since on long-haul flights. This is Dr. Daly in the process of treating his throat chakra with some of our crystals there, crystal tube. And he's sort of doing a kind of energetic massage, and we're watching it in real time on the screen, like you were during the break on my apparatus, real-time feedback, lag time of a couple of milliseconds only. He's working on the throat chakra to clear it of that infection he picked up on the aircraft. Oh, by the way, when you're on the aircraft, the stewardess and some of your passengers will say, "What's that smell?" Okay, and I have to own up, it's me. Just thought I'd tell you. It could happen to you. Okay, David, next. And also, those of you who aware Indian breathing technique is pranayama, the inhalation and the exhalation of breath. While holding the crystal and you're doing it properly, the energy changes. Thank you, David. And this is Dr. Daly again. And he's also, apart from being a very prominent Orthodox doctor, qualified, he's now into Reiki and natural things, running his own natural clinic in America. And in Reiki, they think of geometric shapes and balls of energy, and he was able to, with Reiki, produce a ball of energy and then project it. Now here we have a case of a very sad case of a young lady, crack cocaine addict. And if you look, her brow chakra is greatly expanded, which drugs do, some drugs do, crack cocaine especially. And also here, the crown chakra. So she's split into, and energy is escaping like a volcano. And it's wondered by some people, why do young people, not just young people, behaviour change and mind change and the way they react to others when they're on such drugs, is because their perception of their universe changes around them. They do not, and unlike a Grand Master in Tibet, who has for years got his chakras to open like this, but can cope with what he sees, or she sees, okay? In this case, the young person here couldn't cope. And it's because as soon as this happens, other things get attracted to this abuse of energy. And if you look carefully, there's a figure here. There's half of the face here, eyes there. And she's alone. Her parents are outside. I got to wait outside because I wanted to talk to her. Because she was another face down here, nose, lips, chin. And these figures of forms of consciousness were attracted to her from the other dimensions. And they were influencing her in a negative way. Steel, you've got to keep your habit going because they were feeding off her. Drug addicts are food for these entities that can bathe in the energy that's escaping from them, and also, at the last, sometimes in the tertiary cases, attach and take over them when their consciousness is awake. Also, I was talking about Kundalini energy to a young person earlier in the lecture, and this is an example of Kundalini energy in a wrong form. Normally, it's a coiled serpent, literally like a snake of energy, and it coils. Potential energy like a spring. Here, it's gone up and it's created a negative vortex. This is the back of the hips, by the way. And we have what I call lower astral lines that have attached to her auric field and are pulling on the energy and sustaining their energy. They're parasites, if you like. If a worm attached itself to you or your intestine or something, it's a parasite. But this can happen psychically as well. Okay. Now, great change of theme here. That was very negative expose, but here's a very positive example of positive energy from my old late friend Lama Rinpoche. Beautiful gold and white light around him. And he didn't know I was seeing this. I was snapping like it. But I caught this as it was fading. And I said, oh, Lama Rinpoche, I said, what was that I saw, that you were emanating there? He said, you saw something, Harry? I said, yes, I did, Rinpoche. He said, what you have seen, Harry, is nonsense. And those of you who know anything about Buddhist philosophy, you can figure that one out. And I asked him a question. I said, well, Lama Rinpoche, what is the most fantastic thing I could ever photograph with my apparatus and my technology? Oh, that's an easy one. I thought he was going to send me to a friend of his in the ashram in the Himalayas or something, or India. He said, get hold and photograph a newborn baby. There you will see the most perfect, beautiful, symmetric energies you will ever see in your life. And it turned out to be correct. For those of you that have done me the honour to invest in my Vortices, this is some of the things you can expect to get. Oh, sorry, that is me in a morgue in Greece with my computer apparatus, and it was said to be haunted, and we caught this figure. We were in this little one. She explained that he was in life a priest. You still see staff there, a kind of mitre hat, a long beard, and he was there to collect lost souls that had died suddenly. And when people get discorporated, especially young people when they're young, killed in a car crash, or unfortunately, say in Syria, their soul goes into shock. The consciousness that is carried with their soul goes into shock. And they wander like in a nightmare. And beings like him come from the light. God's messages, if you like, messengers, angels, if you like to use the word. I'm not using any specific word. But they come and they are kind of help to retrieve those souls, bring them back in through the light to where they're supposed to be. And speaking of a soul that needed to be retrieved, I was in a graveyard. I was doing my usual holidays in them days, before I met your mother. And I was just wandering Yorkshire and things, stopping at the odd watering hole like this one, and listening to stories, ghost stories and things. And this particular graveyard is supposed to be very haunted. A figure in a burial cowl is often seen wandering the graveyard. So, summer, midsummer evening, about 8 o'clock at night, I'm walking there with my camera and my filter, and suddenly I see a figure on the path, what I thought was a child covered in a bedsheet. And I say, hey kid, you're not scaring me, because I thought some people I bought drinks for in the pub, listening to their stories, I'd put this person up to do this fooling of me. And I'm convinced it's a joke. And I said, look, come on, take the sheet off, let me see you. I'm not angry. And as I did that, she started to move away. But I suddenly realised, as she moved down the cemetery path, she was hovering. And underneath the cowl, the burial shroud, I could see no feet. But she was moving and gliding. So I started to get excited, and I started to chase her. And I chased her through the gravestones, as one does. I couldn't do that now, and it's about 10 years on, you know. I would have to get a very slow ghost to catch up to it. And so I'm weaving there, and I suddenly say, please stop. You know, you have to be very polite, even with those that passed over. I'm British, you know. And so she stopped and turned around. I said, I only want to take a picture for knowledge. I said, please, will you let me? And she turned, draped herself over the gravestone, and there's some shadows there. And as I was taking her picture with the filter, the blood patches appeared over the burial shroud. And I couldn't believe this, what I was seeing. And then suddenly I said, well, I've got to, no one's going to believe this. I'm talking to her now, the ghost. No one's going to believe this. I want to take a different aspect of this. So I said, will you please stay there so I can take another picture of you? And there I did. And there she still is. You notice how very similar she is to this mausoleum here. You know, that figure and that figure. I have to tell you, you see the mausoleum there? It wasn't there. It was nearly 200 years ago, but it was never there when I took the picture. I went back to check. And the story is, this young girl, during the time of the Napoleonic Wars, she'd been betrothed to a young soldier. She thought he had died in the war, and she'd got married and what have you. And when he came home ready to wed her, he was very upset, and he still had his battle kit and musket and bayonet and everything. And he, apparently, the legend says, he chased her into the graveyard and bayoneted near this mausoleum, which is no longer there. So what I got was definitely information from the past, as well as what I was photographing in the present. And a soul rescue, when I had a word with some of my, shall we say, spiritual friends, they did a spiritual rescue, special method of rescuing her. And she was never seen again. She was at peace, I'd like to think. And during these communication times, called seances, for example, we were in there with low light cameras, or one of my friends were, and in this case, this is the medium, okay, and here, that's a real person, and here, there's a ball of light. Can you see that? Sometimes known as a spirit orb, okay, taken with the filter. No, David, too quick. But can you see what is looking like a very elderly woman's face and body here, but it's in the middle of the table if you look very carefully. Can you see that? Well, that apparently is the lady they were communicating with, who's no longer physical anymore. But she came and materialised. Yes, spicy, isn't it? Sorry. An old man's eyes looking in the darkness. I'll make a poem next time. Carry on.
I went to a gathering last night, and there was a gentleman there who was communicating with spirits. A similar audience like you've got here now.
Right.
And I was able to see the lights as he was communicating.
Yeah, they move around, yes. I've seen the same. I can confirm, Spicy, your observation was correct. I said you were magic. You know why? Because you can actually see these things. You know, you don't need a filter, Spicy. You know. If you have bought one, I'll have to give you a refund now. Sorry. No, it's CD. CD? Yes. Great. You'll love the music, I hope. Thank you, David. Now, here, this is an energy field picture of my dear late pet cat friend called Barbie. And Barbie was like my right arm when I was running my clinic in London. And people would make jokes and say, I don't think there's anything coming for your crystals, Harry. I think it's the cat. You know? And then I had a healer who came and said, oh, she said, I've seen your cat's energy. It's remarkable. It's emerald green, like the ancient Chinese, the emerald from the emperor, she said. And she's like, I said, well, you know, a person, she acts like an empress. She had a special chair, and she used to sit on a special velvet cushion, which was originally my ex-wife's cushion. Probably why she's my ex-wife now. Anyway, cat's on my wife's cushion, and I took a picture, and this was swirling green energy that you see. Absolutely beautiful, and this was the healing energy that people were attracted to. And Barbie was very special, and she passed on in very sad circumstances while I was doing lecturing in Hawaii. She died. She chose to die while I was away. She was perfectly healthy when I was. And some of your dear pets can do this. And I can remember exactly when she died, because as soon as I heard the news, I can no longer remember my stay in Hawaii in colour. It all went black and white. The colour went out of my vision, okay, because she had gone. We were that close. Came back, it did come back. And, but beautiful thing was, she came back 2 years after she died to save my life when I had a near-death experience. Now I'm telling the story. Is Andy still back there?
Yeah.
Andy, are we doing all right for time? Because I don't know when you get thrown out of this place.
Oh, I get transfixed, so I'll stop looking.
Oh, good. Right, don't look. Otherwise you come back to temporal time and space, and then you get ordinary.
In the Matrix, you've got 10 minutes.
Thank you. Right, okay. So basically, I'm alone in an empty house, nobody there except me, I'm watching television, suddenly I'm walking towards a beam of white light, and a circle of white light. And I can see my late father, friends, dead friends and relatives, and I start to walk past them. My father is doing this, get back, and he's really shouting at me, like when I was a little boy, if I'd done something really wrong, you know, like climb on his motorbike or something, and try and start it. Sorry, my dad always used to get belly laughs out of me, he still does. And so I'm saying, what's going on? And suddenly I hear caterwauling. Meow, she was half Siamese. Meow, 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 meow. Oh, it's ear-splitting, so irritating. When she wanted me to lift her out the litter box, when she wanted me to open a tin. Those of you who have cats know what it's like to serve a higher being. Yeah? Okay? You train dogs, cats train you. It's absolutely true, absolutely true. She was trained. But she was... Then I start to wake up, and I suddenly, my consciousness clicks in, my logical mind saying, she's dead, she's not here, you know. But I just heard her. I tried to get up from the chair, calm, whatever, and suddenly realised I can smell gas. Okay, I'm being asphyxiated, so what I do is don't put on any lights if you smell gas at night. Open all the windows, front and back door, okay, fresh the bed, and then what do you think you do? You think you call the emergency services, don't you? No. Too dangerous for the emergency services there. You'll have to call your gas provider. Oh, really? And where would I get the number? She said it's probably under your stairs where the leak is coming from, written on the meter. So I said, well, madam, I'm not going out. Could you do me a favour and call them? Oh, all right. I tend to have this happen to me in life. And so they were there in 20 minutes, really good. And they fix it all, severe leak, anomaly here, have to change the whole system there, and they were there about a few hours till dawn. Birds were singing. And as the gaffer's going down there, he's got his clipboard and turns to me and says, oh, just my record, sir, Dr. Oldfield. I want to know, where were you when how did you discover the leak? I said, well, I was asleep in the house and something woke me up. And the gaffer looked down at his feet, he said, and he looked at his clipboard, he said, well, I'm not going to write this up, sir, but I should tell you, if something hadn't woken you up, you would have woken up dead in the morning. So it wasn't for her, at least her voice, that woke me up almost from the dead. I wouldn't be here with you tonight. And that's down to my little girl Barbie. And this is for any friend or loved one or pet that you have on the other side, my dear friends. If you take away one truth from me tonight, you cannot bury love in a box. Love is eternal, and it goes on forever. And that's where I'd like to end the lecture. That's all right.